The day before my wedding, an anonymous package arrived. It contained my fiancée's abortion papers. A few minutes later, my phone rang. It was a voice I knew all too well, Liam, her first love. Summer told me she couldn't stand the thought of carrying your child, he said, his voice dripping with malice. It made her sick. She had terminated our baby, and I hadn't even known about its existence. I knew, then and there, that our 10-year relationship was over. I sent a mass text, canceling the wedding. I packed my bags and began what should have been our honeymoon, alone. I walked out of Summer's life, no longer a source of her disgust. But she, crazily, started looking for me. Inside the package, the abortion papers lay silent. Summer's signature was there, in the elaborate calligraphic font I designed for her years ago. The procedure was dated the day I went to an art exhibition. The day. She went silent, while I was frantically working. The clinic listed was where she worked, a private institution. In her own workplace, she casually disposed of the proof of our love. And I was completely ignorant. Rage welled inside me, and I reached for my phone to call Summer. But before I could even dial, it rang. I answered. A mocking laugh greeted me. She didn't want your child. She said it made her sick. The entire clinic knew. 10 years is a long time, the voice continued. Now, I'm taking back my place as her boyfriend. It was Liam, Summer's first love. Disgust. She was disgusted by me. The pain was excruciating. Of course, it's disgusting to have a child with someone you don't love. Yet, I had been foolishly anticipating it. Apparently, we were never going to have a child. Even if Summer had been pregnant, she wouldn't want it. Faced with Liam's taunts, I could only weakly move my lips, unable to respond. My hand trembled as I tried calling Summer again. When she picked up, her voice was cold and composed as ever. I'm busy right now. I'll call you back. I could hear Liam's laughter and joking in the background. Summer, you gotta see this. Beep, beep, beep. The dial tone pierced the silence, and my heart ached. She had cut off my words and snuffed out my last flicker of hope. 3 days prior, Summer had packed her bags for a trip, her eyes shining with excitement. I'm going overseas for an international symposium. I get to see Dr. James. I'll be back the day before the wedding. I had been crestfallen. Is seeing Dr. James more important than the wedding? She had coaxed. It's just a quick trip, Ethan. Dr. James is my idol. I promise I'll be back. Who are you going with? I asked. Without looking up, she replied, my assistant. She had lied to me. She was with Liam. Soon after, Liam posted a picture on his social media, geotagged at the address of Summer's hotel. They were hugging, people clapping around them. Summer's dark hair was loose on her shoulders, making her look gentle and charming. The caption read, "One step closer to the leafy, cool summers." My heart sank. That was the same sentence Liam used in his first love letter to Summer, back in high school. We were supposed to get married tomorrow, and yet, today, they were in each other's arms. My grip on the abortion papers loosened. It was over. I sent the mass message canceling the wedding. I packed my things and took down the map from the wall. It was our honeymoon map, filled with blank spots that we were meant to fill with photos. We were supposed to travel east from our university, Starry City, to Watertown. I caressed the map, a precious reminder, and decided to embark on that journey alone, to bid farewell to our past. That night, I drove towards Starry City. At 3 in the morning, I was speeding on the dark highway alone. My heart was starting to ache. According to our original plan, we should have been preparing for the wedding right now. But now, it was just me. When I reached Starry City, I ran into my old university professor. He had always been kind to me and often commissioned art for me, even after graduation. We talked about old times. I drank, and I couldn't hold back the sadness. My professor suggested that I should put my story into a comic and publish it. Maybe I could get a clearer perspective on my pain. Back in my hotel, I started sorting through my memories, turning my feelings into drawings. At 10 years old, my father gambled and was abusive. My mother left. Dad forced me to work to pay his debts, using his belt on me if I refused. Summer lived above me and secretly looked after me. At lunch at school, I only had a plain bun. She would quietly slide her lunchbox to me. It's too much. I don't want it. Slowly, I fell in love with her. Liam was our classmate. He was not only good-looking, but also excelled academically, and he pursued Summer openly. Everyone gossiped about them. I hid my feelings for Summer in the deepest corner of my heart. Then, after the college entrance exams, Summer had a huge argument with Liam and disappeared, staying out until late. I searched all over the city until I found her sitting on a park bench. She had been sitting there for hours, her hair a mess. She was crying, her shoulders shaking. Liam was just trying to distract me so he could be ranked number 1, she sobbed. Ethan, let's be together. My heart pounded. I couldn't have agreed faster. I knew that Summer didn't really love me. She was just hurt and needed someone to lean on. But my affection for her had been suppressed for too long. I wanted to grasp at every chance I got. Then, before the term started, Liam cornered me in an alley near my house. He held a baseball bat and pushed me against the wall. His eyes were disdainful. Call Summer and break up with her now? I snatched the bat from his hand, my gaze cold. No way. You played with Summer's feelings. Now you come to threaten me. We'll settle all the old scores. I fought Liam. I'd done all kinds of odd jobs and my stamina had the upper hand. But then, a group of people ran to his aid and ganged up on me. I was pinned to the ground, and Liam's fists landed on my face repeatedly. The sound around me faded. I don't know how long that went on, but then my world turned silent. When I woke up, Summer was beside me, sobbing. The doctor said your right ear is deaf. You will never hear again. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I reported the incident, and Liam's family was exposed. The stock price of their company plummeted. Soon, they paid a settlement and sent him overseas. Unexpectedly, when I published the comic, it caused a storm. My page views skyrocketed. My notifications were at 99+. My fans commented, "So vicious in high school. How is he now?" Hugs to the creator. That's so heartbreaking. Tell us his name. We'll teach him a lesson. Who is this scum? Someone find his information. My eyes burned. My long-held grievances finally recognized. My phone rang. It was Summer. I answered. Her voice was on the verge of breaking. How could you cancel the wedding on your own? My tone was cold and indifferent. We're over. Ethan, come back and explain yourself in 30 minutes. My heart ached, and I laughed bitterly. We had reached this point, and she was the one who needed to explain. My voice was bleak. That very important conference? Wasn't it only with your assistant? She paused for a few seconds, confused. Yes, who else would it be? My heart sank. I hung up. I didn't want to participate in her charade. For the past 10 years, she might have, slowly, fallen in love with me. But when Liam returned a year ago, becoming the youngest vice president of the hospital where she worked, her heart started to sway. Was she really ready to marry me? I thought of that abortion paper. I believed that she didn't want to marry me. Since Liam's return, Summer had changed. She always dressed perfectly. She would never leave the house with her hair down. When I asked her why, she would blush and bury her head in my chest. I'm a doctor, and my hair is for someone close to me. I was filled with happiness. But after Liam's return, she would sometimes go to work with her hair down. Apparently, the person closest to her wasn't me, it was Liam. When I asked her about it, she would frown, coldly. It's necessary for work. What can I do? On her birthday, we had a candlelit dinner at home. Later, I embraced her and lowered her down. She was breathing fast, her fingers tracing my cheek, reaching to my neck, pulling me into a deep kiss. Her phone rang insistently. She pushed me away and dressed hastily. It's Liam. A car accident patient was brought in. It's dangerous. My heart sank. Since Liam's return, she had worked more overtime. She had also started to treat me with indifference. On Valentine's Day, I delivered lunch as always. I'd barely left her office when her desk phone rang. I picked up with a smile, thinking that she would be surprised. In the second layer of the box was a Valentine's gift, a necklace I designed for her. But it was Liam's voice on the phone. I've finished Summer's lunch. It's quite good, Ethan. I'll throw the box away. Summer's voice was cold. Okay. Then the call ended. I ran back to her office. Just then, Liam was holding the lunchbox, opening the office door. He saw me, breathless, and gave a taunting smile. He threw the box into the trash. I glared, furious, and rushed at him, grabbing his collar. Who told you to throw it away? He sneered, then opened his palm. Looking for this necklace? I sighed in relief. I reached out, but his hand flipped and it also fell into the bin. I punched him. He fell to the ground. Summer heard the commotion. She rushed to help Liam, frowning and agitated. Ethan, what are you doing in the hospital? Liam immediately leaned on Summer. I ate his lunch. He's a little upset. Summer said, that lunch was for him. You can go home first. We can talk about it later. She was supporting Liam. She turned and went back inside her office. After that, she didn't go home for 2 weeks. She slept in her office. My love had finally gone to the man who had hurt me. 10 years of cherishing and love wasn't even worth a returned first love. After a week in Starry City, I was about to go to Bien City. As I grabbed my car keys, I saw her, standing by the car. It was Summer. She looked tired, carrying her suitcase and scratching the back of her neck. Something she did when she felt embarrassed. I was stunned. She stared at me. I heard from your friends that you're here. Are you leaving already? I avoided her eyes and walked past her. She reached out and grabbed my wrist, her voice breaking. Ethan, my stomach is acting up again. My heart ached, but I shook her off. Buy some medicine yourself. Her eyes reddened, but she quickly composed herself. I just don't want us to end like this. She looked at me. Why did you run away from the wedding? I frowned and answered calmly. I guess I found out that chasing you for so many years was tiring. Her eyes flickered with confusion, then with pain. But we were good for the past 10 years. My heart grew cold. I said without any expression. That was good for you, for him. It wasn't for me. I don't understand. Why? Why marry me if you have someone else in your heart? She sighed and grasped my hands, soothing. There is no one else. I only ever loved you. Don't overthink things. Her calm attitude made me feel like I was the one being aggressive. I shook my hand away, not wanting to ask any more questions. I walked toward my car. She watched my hand go. Her eyes hurt, but she quickly followed me, sitting in the passenger seat. Don't try to shake me off. On the drive, she stared out of the window. Her face was pale, yet she kept talking to me. Don't worry, I've already apologized to the guests about the wedding. We'll postpone it for 2 months. It's good that we are having the honeymoon early. I haven't been with you much over the last years. Her words annoyed me. She seemed to think I was just throwing a tantrum. I didn't want to be dragged back into that mess of emotions, constant doubt, and the loss of myself. We reached Qingyang Mountain and I slammed the brakes. I need to do something, get a cab and leave. She looked hurt, her tone firm. No way. This is the first place I'm coming to with you. I ignored her. I got out and started preparing my sketching tools and headed to the mountain. I ignored her, but she kept following. She always hated hiking, but now she followed me up the mountain, sweating. I sighed. You don't have to do this. We are not together, and aren't you busy with work? She seemed hurt. I quit. You left without a word. How could I work? I always neglected you because of work. That won't happen again. I sneered. She had quit her job. She was always busy and never had time for me, but she only quit now. What good did that do? But I didn't bother to explain that it was not about work, but her indecisiveness. She wanted to keep Liam and keep me. That was impossible. She slowed down, and I walked ahead. I saw her wipe her eyes, head down. She followed me. When we got to the peak, I stopped. I just stared ahead. The summer sun was harsh. She held up an umbrella for me, for hours. My drawing became a mess, until the charcoal broke. I packed it all, my expression cold. I had taken the initiative to leave her life. Why was she chasing me? I angrily took the umbrella and threw it in her arms, then turned to go down the mountain. She hurriedly followed me, but she suddenly cried out in pain. She had twisted her ankle. She was in a squat, pale. She didn't say a word. When she saw me looking at her, her voice trembled. Ethan, I sighed. I threw my art supplies in a bin. Come on. Her eyes went red. We are broken up. I don't need your help. I turned to her, my tone cold. We will talk about it later. Now, I can't just leave you here. She grabbed my waist, rested her head on my back, and whispered, Why? Don't you love me anymore? After 10 years, can you just let it go? My heart skipped a beat. I said, The day before our wedding, the abortion papers arrived from the clinic. Were you trying to make me leave? You didn't want our baby. Why didn't you just talk to me about it? Let it go. It's better for us both. Let's break up. She looked at me, confused. What abortion papers? I didn't send anything. I can explain. I didn't want to either. I laughed bitterly and shook my head. It's pointless. It's good that I left. You and Liam can be together now. She frowned. Ethan, I don't understand. Why are you bringing Liam into this? I was running out of patience, my voice cold. You are still defending him. Why did you even come looking for me? She seemed triggered. She held on to me, biting my neck. I gasped. She looked at me. I'm not defending him. Do you think I'm that type of person? My face was cold. I picked her up. I want to believe you, but it's right in front of me. I handed my phone to her. See it yourself. Is Liam alone here? She took my phone, hugging me. What? Nothing to say? She whispered. I was also looking forward to our wedding. Liam said there was an important conference overseas with Dr. Andrews, my idol. I thought it would only take a few hours. I thought I could come back at night. But the conference was worthless. It had no point. It turned out that Liam was also there. The photo of us hugging, it was taken after the conference. We had an emergency, and Liam was the head surgeon. It was a respectful celebration. Those photos were from the hospital's lunchboxes. I didn't know someone took them. She said, voice shaking. I even bought my ticket home. You just left without a word. Why didn't you ask me? You weren't at the wedding. You don't know how worried I was. I replied quietly, I called you, but you didn't answer. She paused. Sorry, I was just out of surgery. Everything was chaotic. I didn't want to brush you off. I relaxed, but felt empty. I was content with the last 10 years. I'm just sad that we can't be together. Go back to work. It's your dream. Summer didn't answer. She was looking at her feet. I won't go back without you. After we left Starry City, Summer was still following me. I didn't allow her in the car. She didn't speak. She stopped a taxi and followed me to Yang City. At the hotel, I received my room key and glanced coldly at Summer. Don't follow me. Summer wanted a room next to mine. She persisted. I want to. You followed me, and I never said anything about it. I ignored her and went into the elevator. As soon as I opened my door, Liam called, laughing. Ethan, you are full of surprises. Summer called to lecture me. And to complain. You're useless. Just because she's chasing you now doesn't mean you won. She will come back to me. I hung up, my heart a mess. What wrong had Summer done? Wasn't she with him now? Whatever. I was tired, so I slept all day. At 8 p.m., I opened the door. Summer ran out from next door. She was tired and puffy-eyed, her hair a mess. She was standing there, and her stomach made a noise. She put her hands on it, and her face went red. I instinctively asked, Did you skip lunch? She nodded. I didn't feel like it. In 10 years, I was always looking after her, even when she was busy, and she had never been this way. My heart sank. Don't skip meals, I'll get you. I panicked and looked away. Why had I said that? It's so hard to break a habit. When she skipped a meal, I would be anxious, and I would cook something for her, afraid that she wouldn't eat. I walked forward. She laughed and ran to catch up. At the restaurant, she took little sips of her soup. Suddenly, the ground shook. Without warning, I was holding up the small table and pulling her. Crouch! She pulled at my clothes, pulled me down, held me tight. There was rubble falling. She pushed me hard, and she cried out, Ethan, hide. She wanted to follow me, but debris separated us. The earthquake was strong. We were blocked in a dark place. I tried to push my way out, but the walls wouldn't budge. I tried to wipe the sweat and spoke. "Summer, can you hear me?" She tapped. I sighed in relief. After some time, the sound of the walls falling ceased. Summer moaned, her breathing strained. There was silence on the other side. I panicked. "Summer, what happened to you?" I was blocked in a safe triangle. I was worried about Summer. Her voice was slow. "I'm fine, just a little scared." I breathed a sigh of relief. "You have been through earthquakes before. Don't panic. We'll be fine." Her voice was soft. "Ethan, thank you for being there. I was so happy being with you. I was wrong for neglecting you." Liam became the department head. I found out he was the owner's son. I tried to avoid him, but he found ways. "Sorry, I should have quit earlier, but I worked with the man who hurt you. You were angry when I didn't eat the food and gave it to him. But that day, 2 patients came in. I had no time. He said he hadn't eaten, and I gave it to him. It wasn't a waste your efforts. I saw the necklace. It's beautiful. It's funny, right? I want to dig through the trash for it." My voice trembled. "You said you only let your hair down for someone close to you." She was panting. "It was Liam. He said that my hair tied up made me look aggressive, and for work purposes, to avoid complaints, he asked me to leave it down. I didn't like that. That's why I was so harsh. I'm sorry." Her voice was fading. "I'm scared I won't have another chance. Ethan, I do love you. You are still so foolish. I would never betray you. After we finally got here, I should have told you things. We would not be here. Ethan, I love you. I never gave you security. That's why you doubted me. That's why you left. It's always been you." Her voice stopped. All I could hear was my heartbeat. I cried. "Move the concrete blocks. Summer, don't scare me." The tears fell. "Summer, please say something. I'm sorry. If we get out of here, A light shone on my face. I closed my eyes. It was the rescue team. I cried out. "My fiancée is in here. Save her first." Summer was rescued. I saw her wounds. The beam had crushed her leg. Blood was pouring out. But she still spoke to me, afraid I would give up. I rushed to her, but collapsed. I woke up after 2 days. The doctor said that I was dehydrated, but fine. The girl who was with me? What happened to her? Her name is Summer. The doctor looked sad. Her vitals are stable, but her legs. I heard that she was safe, and I pulled out the 4. I ran to her room. I had never seen Summer so vulnerable. I struggled to move to her bedside and saw her face. Her tears fell on her hand. She opened her eyes slowly, terrified. "My legs, Ethan, I might never walk again." My eyes burned. I kissed her forehead. I wiped her tears. "It's my fault. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here. I'm a scumbag. If I had trusted you, we wouldn't be here. Summer, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She forced a smile. She shook her head. She was always stronger than me. I held her hand. "No matter what happens, we'll never separate again." She hesitated. "But if I can't walk, I'll only be a burden." I took out a ring that I had prepared. I slipped it on her finger, kissing her hand. "When you helped me, all those years ago, I was never able to leave you. Summer, my love for you never changed." She was crying. She fell asleep. I wiped her tears and watched her, never wanting to miss a second. 2 weeks later, my followers found Liam's account. They insulted him. They asked for him to be fired. And because Summer had quit, Liam was distracted and had made a serious error at work. He was fired. He went back to his father's company and became president, but he was inexperienced. Not only did he drive away investors, he also was caught in a tax scandal. The company went bankrupt, and Liam went to jail. 2 months later, Summer was discharged. She couldn't stand for long. On rainy days, I would gently pick her up, placing her carefully in the wheelchair. We did her physical therapy. I felt heartbroken for her, but also proud. She had ended her career, but she became a university lecturer. She had a lighter workload, and she had more time for me. In the fall, on a sunny day, we got married again. Then we traveled, for longer than expected. My comic is ongoing, but from now, it will be happy scenes. For the rest of our lives, we would have each other's love.